The seat fabric is already warm before you even sit down. Not uncomfortable warm, just noticeable. That's around 8 in the morning. By 10, the steering wheel is too hot to grip barehanded. Most people register that and think nothing of it. That's the first thing that matters here. Not the heat itself, but the assumption it comes with. The assumption that discomfort is just discomfort. A car in direct sun doesn't heat like a room with the windows open. It heats like a greenhouse. Sunlight passes through the glass as shortwave radiation. It hits the seats, the dashboard, the floor, and converts into long-wave heat. That heat can't escape back through the glass, so it accumulates. On a 35 degrees Celsius day outside, the interior of a parked car can reach 60 to 70 degrees Celsius within an hour, sometimes faster, depending on color, glass area, and whether there's any shade. The air you're breathing inside is not the same temperature as the air outside. It's closer to what you'd find inside a commercial oven set to low. Living inside a vehicle during a sustained heat wave means you're not just dealing with hot days. You're inside a heat-amplifying container with limited airflow and limited escape. The body handles heat through sweating. Sweat evaporates from the skin, and that evaporation pulls heat away from the surface. It works well, but only if the air around you can accept more moisture. Inside a sealed or nearly sealed vehicle, humidity climbs fast. Once the air is already saturated, sweat stops evaporating efficiently. Your core temperature starts to rise because the body's primary cooling mechanism is stalled. The first signals are easy to dismiss. Fatigue that feels like tiredness from a bad night's sleep. A dull headache that seems like dehydration, which it partly is. Difficulty concentrating on simple things. These are early heat stress symptoms, and they arrive before anything feels truly dangerous. That timing gap is where most problems begin. You're hot and uncomfortable, but you don't feel like you're in danger. So the response is small. A window cracked, a bottle of water, a waiting feeling. Meanwhile, the body is working harder than normal just to stay functional. The heart rate climbs slightly to push blood toward the skin for cooling. Breathing gets a little shallower in thick, humid air. If you're sleeping in the car, nighttime brings only partial relief. Depending on where you're parked and the ambient temperature, the vehicle may not cool below 30 degrees Celsius even after dark. The body repairs itself during sleep, partly through temperature drop. When that drop doesn't happen, sleep quality degrades sharply. By the second day, the fatigue isn't from one bad night. It's compounding. Thirst becomes a poor guide at this stage. By the time you feel genuinely thirsty, you're already behind on fluids. In high heat, the body can lose more than a liter of water per hour through sweat alone. That number rises with any physical activity, even walking to a shop and back. Electrolytes leave with the fluid. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, the minerals that keep muscle and nerve functions stable. Water alone doesn't replace them. Drinking plain water heavily without replacing electrolytes can actually dilute what's left in the bloodstream. Muscle cramps start, sometimes confusion follows. People often mistake this for not drinking enough water and drink more. That misread can make the underlying problem worse. The car itself becomes a different kind of problem by day 3. Metal surfaces hold heat through the night and begin the next day already warm. The dashboard can reach temperatures that cause burns on contact. Stored food spoils faster than expected. Medications that require cool storage, insulin, certain heart drugs can degrade or lose effectiveness. A phone or device left on the seat in direct sun can overheat and shut down. That matters more than it sounds, because your phone is likely your navigation, your weather check, your emergency contact. Losing it to heat damage in the middle of a heat wave narrows your options quietly. People sometimes crack windows and assume that solves the ventilation problem. It doesn't in still air. Cross-ventilation requires airflow moving through inlet on one side, outlet on another. A cracked window on a still day moves almost no air at all. The body keeps compensating, but compensation has a ceiling. Heat exhaustion can arrive without a dramatic moment. No sudden collapse, no clear turning point. Just a slow accumulation, heavier limbs, nausea, skin that's pale and damp rather than flushed. Thinking becomes foggy in a way that's hard to self-assess. That's the particular danger with heat stress at this stage. The cognitive impairment it causes makes it harder to recognize the cognitive impairment. You may feel like you're managing when you're not. Heat stroke is the stage beyond heat exhaustion. The body stops sweating. Core temperature continues to rise. Above 40 degrees Celsius internally, organ stress begins. This is a medical emergency, not something that resolves with rest and water in a hot car. If you or someone else reaches this point, the priority is cooling and emergency services, not waiting, not hoping the evening brings relief. Anyone spending extended time in a vehicle during a heat wave, by necessity or circumstance, benefits from knowing where nearby cooling centers, libraries, or air-conditioned public spaces are before they need them. That's not dramatic preparation, that's practical geography. Real emergencies involving heat require trained medical response and local emergency guidance, not improvised management alone. What actually determines outcomes in prolonged heat exposure isn't one dramatic moment. It's the accumulation of small decisions made while still comfortable enough to think clearly. Shade timing, fluid balance, knowing what the body is signaling before the signals become loud. The car doesn't warn you. The heat doesn't announce itself as dangerous until it already is. What keeps people safer is recognizing the gap between feeling uncomfortable and being in real trouble, and not letting that gap become a reason to wait.